You're listening to the CyberWire Network, powered by N2K.
We've all been there. You realize your business needs to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Well, it's easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post noticed. Indeed's sponsored jobs helps you stand out and hire fast. Your post jumps to the top of search results so the right candidates see it first. And it works. Sponsored jobs on Indeed get 45% more applications than non-sponsored ones. One of the things I love about Indeed is how fast it makes hiring. And yes, we do actually use Indeed for hiring here at N2K CyberWire. Many of my colleagues here came to us through Indeed. Plus, with sponsored jobs, there are no subscriptions, no long-term contracts. You only pay for results. How fast is Indeed? Oh, in the minute or so that I've been talking to you, 23 hires were made on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners to this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/cyberwire. Just go to Indeed.com/cyberwire right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/cyberwire. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need. Interpol's Operation Secure dismantles a major cybercrime network, and Singapore takes down scam centers. GitLab patches multiple vulnerabilities in its DevSecOps platform. Researchers unveil a covert method for exfiltrating data using smartwatches. EchoLeak allows for data exfiltration from Microsoft Copilot. Journalists are confirmed targets of Paragon's graphite spyware. France calls for comments on tracking pixels. Fog ransomware operators deploy an unusual mix of tools. Skeleton Spider targets recruiters by posing as job seekers on LinkedIn and Indeed. Erie Insurance suffers ongoing outages following a cyber attack. Our N2K lead analyst Ethan Cook shares insights on Trump's antitrust policies. And DNS neglect leads to AI subdomain exploits. It's Thursday, June 12th, 2025. I'm Dave Bittner, and this is your CyberWire Intel Briefing. Thanks for joining us here today. It's great to have you with us. Interpol's Operation Secure, a joint effort by 26 countries across Asia and the South Pacific, has dismantled a major cybercrime network. The operation removed 20,000 malicious IP addresses and domains tied to InfoStealer malware. Authorities seized 41 servers and over 100 gigabytes of data, identifying 117 command and control servers used for phishing, fraud, and stealing sensitive data like passwords and crypto wallet information. Hong Kong police played a key role in the analysis. Over 216,000 individuals were alerted to potential risks. The crackdown also led to 32 arrests, including suspects in Vietnam, Sri Lanka, and Nauru. Interpol worked with cybersecurity firms like Group IB and Kaspersky to share intel, highlighting the value of international collaboration in combating global cyber threats. Meanwhile, Singapore led a month-long multinational crackdown called Operation Frontier Plus, targeting scam syndicates responsible for roughly $225 million in fraud. Coordinating with police from Hong Kong, South Korea, Malaysia, the Maldives, Thailand, and Macau, authorities investigated nearly 34,000 suspects tied to over 9,200 scams. These ranged from fake investments to romance and job scams. Over 1,800 arrests were made, 32,000 bank accounts frozen, and $20 million seized. Singapore alone arrested 106 suspects linked to $30 million in fraud, recovering $8 million. Charges include hacking and identity theft. The operation, which began in April, relied on rapid cross-border collaboration to trace and freeze stolen funds. Officials stress the growing sophistication of these scams and the need for a global response. They say similar efforts are underway in the U.S., India, and Japan. GitLab has issued urgent security updates to patch multiple vulnerabilities in its DevSecOps platform. The flaws include account takeover risks and the ability for attackers to inject malicious jobs into CI/CD pipelines. The fixes are included in GitLab updates. Critical issues addressed include HTML injection, missing authorization, cross-site scripting, and a denial of service flaw. GitLab.com is already patched, and users of self-managed instances are urged to upgrade immediately. Researchers in Israel have unveiled Smart Attack, a covert method for exfiltrating data from air-gapped systems via smartwatches. The attack involves malware on a secure, isolated computer emitting ultrasonic signals via built-in speakers. These inaudible tones, modulated to carry data, are picked up by a smartwatch microphone worn nearby. The watch then transmits the data via Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or cellular networks. Though challenging and theoretical, the attack shows how insider threats can bypass physical isolation. Experts recommend banning smartwatches and disabling speakers in sensitive areas to mitigate risk. Microsoft has disclosed a critical vulnerability in its 365 Copilot AI assistant, marking the first known zero-click attack on an AI agent. Dubbed Echo Leak, the flaw allowed attackers to exfiltrate sensitive data by exploiting a new LLM scope violation. Attackers sent emails with hidden prompt injections disguised as business content. When users later asked Copilot-related questions, its RAG engine retrieved the malicious emails as context. The AI then embedded stolen data into links that triggered automatic requests to an attacker-controlled server, bypassing content security policies. No user clicks were needed, just a crafted email and a relevant query. Discovered by AIM Security in January of this year, Microsoft patched the issue in May with server-side updates. There's no sign it was exploited in the wild, and no action is needed by customers. Citizen Lab has confirmed the first known infections by Paragon's graphite spyware, targeting Italian journalist Ciro Pellegrino and an unnamed European journalist. Both were compromised through a zero-click iMessage exploit, allowing surveillance without user interaction. Paragon spyware, linked to Italian intelligence agencies, was reportedly active during the hacks, despite Italy's denials. The spyware scandal has widened, with other victims including journalists and migrant aid workers. Pellegrino, unaware he was a target, criticized the lack of support from Italy's government. A recent parliamentary report claimed no journalists were targeted, but Citizen Lab's forensic evidence challenges that narrative. Israel's Paragon ended its ties with Italy after the government refused to investigate. Citizen Lab continues examining additional cases as the spyware's full reach and intent remain unclear. France's data watchdog CNIL has launched a public consultation on its draft recommendation for regulating tracking pixels in emails. These invisible one-by-one pixel images are used to monitor when emails are opened, raising privacy concerns. The proposal aims to clarify consent requirements and ensure compliance, especially as complaints about email tracking increase. The draft applies to all organizations using email tracking and their service providers. The consultation runs until July 24th, and CNIL is also collecting input on the economic impact of regulation. Fog ransomware operators are deploying an unusual mix of tools, blending open-source utilities with legitimate software to evade detection. First observed in May 2024, the group initially used stolen VPN credentials, pass-the-hash attacks, and exploited known flaws in Veeam and SonicWall systems. In a recent attack on an Asian financial institution, Symantec uncovered a novel toolset that included Cyteka and employee monitoring software used to capture credentials, and GC2, a rare backdoor using Google Sheets or SharePoint for command and control. Other tools included Stowaway for stealthy delivery, SMB exec and PS exec for lateral movement, and Adapt2XC2 for post-exploitation. The attackers also used 7-zip, Megasync, and Free File Sync for data exfiltration. Symantec notes the atypical toolkit, especially Cyteka and GC2, signals an evolving strategy that challenges standard ransomware detection methods. Cybercriminal group Fin6, also known as Skeleton Spider, is using a new tactic to infect recruiters with malware by posing as job seekers on LinkedIn and Indeed. According to Domain Tools, the group sends convincing phishing emails with no clickable links, requiring recipients to manually enter URLs leading to fake resume websites hosted on trusted platforms like AWS. These sites use CAPTCHA and traffic filters to bypass security tools and deliver the More Eggs backdoor, a malware-as-a-service tool used to steal credentials and enable ransomware attacks. Fin6, historically known for stealing payment card data from point-of-sale systems, is now shifting toward broader enterprise threats. The use of professional messaging and cloud hosting allows them to evade detection, signaling a more sophisticated approach to targeting organizations through social engineering. Erie Insurance and Erie Indemnity Company confirmed a cyber attack on June 7th, causing ongoing outages and business disruptions. Customers have been unable to access the portal, file claims, or receive documents. The company activated its incident response plan and is working with law enforcement and cybersecurity experts to investigate. While the nature and impact of the attack are still unclear, Erie emphasized it won't request payments via email or phone during the outage. There's no confirmation yet if ransomware or data theft is involved. Coming up after the break, our N2K lead analyst Ethan Cook shares insights on Trump's antitrust policies, and DNS neglect leads to AI subdomain exploits. Stick around. Hey everybody, Dave here. I've talked about Delete Me before, and I'm still using it because it still works. It's been a few months now, and I'm just as impressed today as I was when I signed up. Delete Me keeps finding and removing my personal information from data broker sites, and they keep me updated with detailed reports, so I know exactly what's been taken down. I'm genuinely relieved knowing my privacy isn't something I have to worry about every day. The Delete Me team handles everything. It's the set it and forget it peace of mind. And it's not just for individuals. Delete Me also offers solutions for businesses, helping companies protect their employees' personal information and reduce exposure to social engineering and phishing threats. And right now, our listeners get a special deal, 20% off your Delete Me plan. Just go to joindeleteme.com/N2K and use promo code N2K at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/N2K, code N2K. And now, a word from our sponsor, ThreatLocker. Keeping your system secure shouldn't mean constantly reacting to threats. ThreatLocker helps you take a different approach by giving you full control over what software can run in your environment. If it's not approved, it doesn't run. Simple as that. It's a way to stop ransomware and other attacks before they start, without adding extra complexity to your day. See how ThreatLocker can help you lock down your environment at www.threatlocker.com. We are sharing a selection from today's Caveat podcast, where my co-host Ben Yellen and I are joined by N2K's lead analyst Ethan Cook. We take a policy deep dive into the Trump administration's antitrust stance. Let's just start off with some high-level stuff. I mean, when we're talking about antitrust and the Trump administration, what's the high-level approach that they seem to be taking here, Ethan?
I think the best way I can surmise it is aggressive, specifically against big tech. I would go as far to say that this is probably the most aggressive administration regarding antitrust policy in about 2 decades. Biden's a close contender, but they certainly are pushing for some pretty aggressive policies.
Ben, I'd say this in a way surprises me. I'm thinking back to President Trump's inauguration and who was standing by his side.
Yeah, the second row there was Bezos and Musk and Zuckerberg. I think this is a really interesting surprise, at least from my perspective. There were a lot of, as Ethan writes about, antitrust cases in progress initiated by, in many cases, the Biden administration FTC, which was run by an antitrust hawk, Lina Khan. And there were hints that some of Trump's people were on board this antitrust agenda, including J.D. Vance, the vice president, who said that he admired a lot of Lina Khan's work. But I certainly didn't think that they'd go at it as strongly as they have, largely because Trump seemed to have made peace with big tech and with Silicon Valley prior to the election, and a lot of his new base of support in 2024 that he didn't have in 2016 and 2020 was Silicon Valley types, VCs, people who are in the industry, who are very forward-looking and were frustrated by Democratic economic policy, social and cultural policy. And so this became a big part of his coalition, and you'd think that President Trump would come in and as a payback to getting the votes of this community, he would be lighter on antitrust matters. And it's just a really interesting surprise that his administration has been so tough, particularly because a lot of the Trump presidency has been undoing the work of the previous administration. So I feel like we could have seen that here, and we haven't. They've continued to vigorously argue the case in these 2 Google cases that we've talked about. Now there's a Meta case that's coming up. And they have kept their foot on the gas pedal. So it's definitely something that's noteworthy and surprising.
Ethan, what's the why here? I mean, why do we think antitrust has become such a focal point of this administration's tech policy agenda?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's kind of it's a question that I've been grappling with, especially considering how, to Ben's point, during the campaign trail, it appeared that Trump was not only willing to take their money, but was willing to give them access. And then to turn around and kind of slap in the face and say, yeah, thank you for all your support. I'm now going to break up all your companies, was kind of shocking to me. I think part of it, when I try and think back, is, to Ben's point, some of these cases were started by the Biden administration, but some of these cases date back to Trump's first administration, where at the end in 2020, he was launching some of these cases, and it felt like, there was that rift between him and social media companies, him and big tech companies. So I think some of this is that inherent gap that has been there for years now, and he's just kind of playing that through. And I think part of the other side is, and I didn't write about this, but it's maybe a little speculation on my behalf, but Trump is more aligned with more traditional big tech or big media companies. If he reinstituted net neutrality, or net neutrality died, which net neutrality is something that these big tech companies were pretty much in favor of, and companies that provide internet were not in favor of. And the killing of net neutrality was something that I thought was and Trump's reiterated attempts to kill net neutrality was something that kind of aligned to me, saying, okay, maybe he's more in line with these traditional companies that we consider like Verizon, AT&T, whatever it may be for internet providers, than compared to a Google or a Meta.
It's an interesting theory, but then why is the second row at his inauguration the heads of all these companies?
Yeah, I don't. It's weird to me because it's this dynamic where obviously that was a huge political stunt and got the media talking for days that they were there. But at the same time, there appears to be no love lost between the two of them. I mean, outside of these lawsuits, I mean, Trump and Elon's relationship has pretty much fallen apart. And I mean, I don't think anyone was particularly shocked by that, but I kind of saw that one coming a little bit. But I think maybe one thing that he's going to go after these cases, but maybe relax on the merger and acquisition front. I don't know. It's kind of a dynamic where I'm kind of, it's a head scratcher.
Could it be as simple as loyalty flows in one direction when it comes to Donald Trump? I mean, he expects these tech companies to bend their knees and make their contributions, but that does not in any way guarantee that he's obligated to anything.
I mean, that's been the pattern of his presidencies, and really going back to his career in business, is that he expects loyalty from others, but and everybody kind of sidles up to him thinking that they can buy his loyalty with their political support or with money. But he does not always fulfill those promises, which is why he's had falling outs with people like Elon Musk. And just going back through his political career and business career, people who've tried to cozy up to him to get what they want frequently don't end up getting what they want, even if they've spent a decade cozying up to him. So, I always think of Lindsey Graham, who I think made the senator from South Carolina, who's a big traditional pro-defense Republican, was very anti-Trump during the 2016 campaign, kind of famously wrote a tweet saying, if we nominate this guy, we're going to get killed and we deserve to. Of course, he won the election. And I think Lindsey Graham made a calculated decision at that point to say, let me get on this guy's good side and maybe I can help shape his foreign policy to be more a traditional Republican interventionist foreign policy. Maybe I can make him more of a defense hawk. And he's kept up the praise and the cozying up to Trump. They're golf buddies. And maybe on some matters, he's gotten his way on foreign policy, but on things like Ukraine and Russia, and certainly on Iran, he has not. So I think there is that kind of pattern here of people think that he doesn't have fixed political beliefs, and they take from that he's malleable, and that if you flatter him, you might get what you want. And I think he loves that people think that, because people come to him and they flatter him. But it's just, I think it doesn't always end up accruing to the benefit of the flatterers, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think, Ethan, you sort of alluded to an interesting point here, which is, and I guess Ben, chime in on this. I can't help thinking how many things loop back to the 2020 election, right? And so President Trump's animosity towards these big companies, as Ethan alluded to, you can trace back to what Trump and his allies consider misinformation, mainly that President Trump lost the 2020 election, right? The refusal to acknowledge that. How much of this keeps looping back to that?
Yeah, and I think this is this interesting dynamic where, because I don't even think it was just the loss. I think it was throughout the 4 years under Biden, them continuing to go after this misinformation and, follow Biden's statement, even though Biden was actively pursuing these lawsuits, all of them, in the meanwhile, using as a, convenient, hey, these were already started for me, might as well see it through. And I think to an extent, this feels a little bit like a targeted, you went after me and my claims for 4 years. I am, thank you for helping me get elected. I am now going to pay it back.
Our thanks to Ethan Cook for joining Ben and I on Caveat. We hope you'll check out the entire episode of Caveat. You can find that right here on the N2K CyberWire Network or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Compliance regulations, third-party risk, and customer security demands are all growing and changing fast. Is your manual GRC program actually slowing you down? If you've ever found yourself drowning in spreadsheets, chasing down screenshots, or wrangling manual processes just to keep your GRC program on track, you're not alone. But let's be clear, there is a better way. Vanta's trust management platform takes the headache out of governance, risk, and compliance. It automates the essentials, from internal and third-party risk to consumer trust, making your security posture stronger, yes, even helping to drive revenue. And this isn't just nice to have. According to a recent analysis from IDC, teams using Vanta saw a 129% boost in productivity. That's not a typo, that's real impact. So, if you're ready to trade in chaos for clarity, check out Vanta and bring some serious efficiency to your GRC game. Vanta GRC. How much easier trust can be. Get started at vanta.com/cyber. And finally, our It's Always DNS desk takes us on a scenic stroll through the Internet's lesser-maintained cul-de-sacs, where technical debt and laziness collide in a wonderfully absurd mess. First, 404 Media visits the Wow Lazy Empire, a junkyard of AI-generated nonsense squatting on once pristine subdomains from the likes of NPR, Stanford, and NVIDIA. Thanks to poor subdomain hygiene, spammers found abandoned plots and moved in, posting content like gay furry porn. These AI-exploited subdomains don't just confuse search engines, they make your brand look like it's moonlighting as a bizarre fanfic site. Much of this is the result of the elegant disaster of dangling DNS records. This is when you point a subdomain to a service and later stop using that service, but forget to delete the DNS pointer. You've left the digital backdoor wide open. Hackers can swoop in, claim that service, and hijack your subdomain to host phishing sites, malware, or more furry content. Not that there's anything inherently wrong with furry content. The fix? Scrub your DNS like it's a crime scene. And that's the CyberWire. We'd love to hear from you. We're conducting our annual survey to learn more about our listeners. We're collecting your insights through the end of summer. There's a link in the show notes. Please do check it out. N2K's senior producer is Alice Carruth. Our CyberWire producer is Liz Stokes. We're mixed by Trey Hester with original music and sound design by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. Peter Kilpie is our publisher, and I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow. And now a word from our sponsor, SpyCloud. Identity is the new battleground, and attackers are exploiting stolen identities to infiltrate your organization. Traditional defenses can't keep up. SpyCloud's holistic identity threat protection helps security teams uncover and automatically remediate hidden exposures across your users, from breaches, malware, and phishing to neutralize identity-based threats like account takeover, fraud, and ransomware. Don't let invisible threats compromise your business. Get your free corporate darknet exposure report at spycloud.com/cyberwire and see what attackers already know. That's spycloud.com/cyberwire.